Hello, and welcome. It is Thursday, December 10th, 2020, and this is Truly News. As we begin this new day, let's start by increasing your knowledge and expanding your insights with a review of today's news. As always, we begin with a look at the top stories from around the country. And here are the stories that are leading the news today. Today's headlines: Another COVID record. The United States awaits vaccine. Biden promises doses. Uber delivers packages. The U.S. set another COVID record on Wednesday, with over 3,200 deaths. In the meantime, the FDA prepares to consider approval of the Pfizer vaccine. However, it could be months until the vaccine is available. The Trump administration passed on an offer to pre-purchase doses last summer, so those doses will go to other countries. As Europe began administering Pfizer's COVID vaccine this week, the United States is still considering approval. In the meantime, questions remain regarding how soon a vaccine would be available. The Trump administration reportedly passed on multiple offers to pre-purchase millions of doses, which other countries accepted. As questions remain regarding vaccinations, Biden has pledged to make 100 million doses of vaccine available within the first 100 days of his presidency. In the meantime, the House approved temporary funding to keep the government running, as Congress haggles over a new budget and how much money should be allocated to COVID relief. In other news, Uber continues its entry into the package deliver business. In April, the ride service announced Uber Connect, which will provide package delivery in over 2,400 cities and towns. Earlier this year, the company announced that it was selling less profitable business ventures, like its investments in flying vehicles and self-driving cars. And that's your top news for today. Now, in our look beyond the main headlines, let's begin with the latest advances in science, technology, and space exploration. In science news, polar climate changes can affect weather across the globe. A study published in the journal Science Advances by researchers from the University of Hawaii explains how climate conditions in the polar region can have large-scale weather effects. New research showed that temperatures in the polar regions affect the trade winds. The trade winds are the air currents that flow around the equator and affect weather patterns in many areas. In technology news, France gives record fines to Google and Facebook for violating privacy policies. French regulators announced that Google would be fined a record €100 million, which is $121 million. Facebook has been fined €35 million. Both companies are being accused of violating the same rules, which require companies to get user agreement before tracking people's activity. The companies installed advertising tracking programs in people's browsers. In space news, Mars mission rocket undergoes its first major test launch. On Wednesday, SpaceX launched a prototype rocket, which is a part of its effort to make manned space travel to Mars a reality. The Starship rocket took off from a test site in Texas after earlier test launches were delayed due to performance issues. The rocket flew for over 6 minutes before crash landing in a massive fireball. The company and its founder Elon Musk called the test flight a success. And that is your science, technology, and space news for today. Now we look at the latest in health, social, and environmental news. In health news, heart disease has become a major worldwide health problem. A report published in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology by researchers from the University of Washington shows that heart disease is the leading cause of death worldwide. Heart disease accounted for 1/3 of all deaths in 2019, and the rate of cases has doubled since 1990. The research, covering 30 years of data, shows the need for efforts to address the growing problem. In social news, religious discrimination and hostility has increased over the last several years. Research published in Socius, a journal of the American Sociological Association, shows that discrimination against people from various religious faiths has increased over the last several years. Jews and Muslims have seen the largest increase in religious-based discrimination and hostility. 1/3 of Jews and 2/3 of Muslims reported having negative experiences. In environmental news, food and drought causing weather patterns from La Nina continue. Weather researchers in Japan have announced that the La Nina weather pattern will continue through winter, and it is likely to last into spring. La Nina is characterized by winds that blow warm weather from the Americas toward Australia and Indonesia. That causes colder ocean water to rise near the American continents, which changes temperatures, creating weather patterns that cause floods and droughts. And that is your health, social, and environmental news for today. Now, it is time for our look at economic and world news. In economic news, new report shows more layoffs in recent months as COVID surges. On Wednesday, the Department of Labor released the Job Openings and Labor Turnover Survey for October. The data is the result of a national business survey that covers job openings, hires, and separations. The October data showed increasing layoffs amid the continued spike in COVID. However, the report also showed an increase in the number of job openings seeking new hires. In world news, India will be a big player in the global effort to implement a COVID vaccine. India is the world's largest vaccine maker. The country manufactures 60% of all of the vaccines created on the planet, with a pharmaceutical industry worth over $40 billion. As countries begin to approve the vaccines that have been created by pharmaceutical companies, it will be India's manufacturing facilities that will produce many of the doses. There are presently at least 8 COVID vaccines under development. And that is your economic and world news for today. To wrap things up, we take a look at your entertainment options with newly released movies, shows, and books. In newly released movies, today's movie is 40 Years a Prisoner, chronicling the 1978 Philadelphia police raid on the radical group MOVE and the lifelong fight of a son to exonerate his parents. 40 Years a Prisoner is now available for rent on HBO Max. In newly released shows, today's show is Atlas of Cursed Places. Author and adventurer Sam Sheridan travels the globe in search of the most cursed places on Earth. Episodes of Atlas of Cursed Places are now showing on National Geographic and on various streaming services. Finally, in entertainment news, our newly published book is The Queen's Gambit by Walter Tevis. 16-year-old Beth Harmon goes through changes as she plays chess in the U.S. Open Championship. This book is presently number 2 on the New York Times paperback trade fiction bestseller list. And that is your entertainment news for today. For a list of movies, shows, and books, visit the Truly News print edition. The print edition is available at trulynews.org. There you will find all of today's news, with archives of past news that is searchable by subject. As always, we end our podcast with hope for humanity. Stories about the goodness and kindness people show each other every day. And here is today's story. From Warwick County, Indiana. 3 women decide to spread random acts of kindness during the holidays. On Saturday, a group of 10 women decided to go around their community and give away $1,000 of their own money. The majority of their stops included small local businesses where the group gave money to strangers. The acts were completely random. Some people were given money while sitting in a drive-thru, while others received cash while walking their dog. The point was simply to spread some holiday cheer during a time where many people could use a little random happiness in their lives. And that is your news for December 10th, 2020. Have a wonderful day.